when I was 6 or 7, my grandfather took me on his boat out to Lake Lemon, and we pulled up to the dock that at that point was there at Riddle Point, and got off onto the dock, and there was this circle of people standing in the middle of the dock, and so we went up and joined the circle, and no one was saying anything. But there in the middle of the circle was a body. A young boy, a little older than me, who had just a little while earlier been swimming, but now was no longer breathing. And that was my first experience of an awareness that I had not always been here. And I think the thought may have occurred to me as well that there might be a time when I wouldn't be here again. So when was it in your life journey that somewhere the awareness came to you that I haven't always been here? Go ahead, John.
You know, when I was a kid, Westerns were all over television, and I kind of knew that that was all before my time. So I wasn't here then. And there was a whole lot of killing going on in those Westerns. And I kind of knew that when those Indians or cowboys died, they were gone. And that I didn't want to die that way, but I knew.
So you had a double message going on. There was this thing called history that happened back there somewhere. And plus, all these folks doing something to one another. Okay. All right, let's go with an easier, a little lighter question. How many of us have ever had either a girlfriend or a boyfriend? Okay, all right. And I would guess that some of us may have participated in relationships with a partner or lover or maybe a spouse. How many of us have had that kind of, yeah, okay. All right, it's almost a universal experience. Is there anyone here that is not presently related to the person that they had that relationship with? Okay, so some of us have experienced this dynamic of breaking up or divorcing. Has anyone had the experience of breaking up, divorcing, separating oneself from that other being, and they didn't want to get out of your life? Have you ever had that experience? Yeah, okay, so if a few of us know about that. We'll say that again, Chris?
Stalkers.
Stalkers. Has anyone ever had we've known some stalkers. What are your clues? How do you know when you're being stalked? Well, go ahead.
When his car is parked outside my home facing it all day, every day.
That's a clue.
That was a clue.
Yeah. Anybody else have any clues when you're being stalked? Okay, well, how's that make you feel when you're being stalked?
Trappy.
Mad, trapped.
Creepy.
Creepy. Yeah, violated. Absolutely. Absolutely. And who do you call when you're being stalked? The police. And what do you want to get? A restraining order, that's right. Some of us are wondering, why did I come here tonight? Tonight is the 4th of 8 gatherings of the cinematic art form presentation, The Ultimate Reality. Tonight we are encountering the second of a series of 6 cinematic art forms addressing the relational practice of knowing the unknowable. I'd like for you to go with me for a moment to a special state of being, a place where that special other that we might experience as a intrusion, as a stalker. But imagine this state of being where I can't get away, that there is no escape, that there is no one to call, no police department to call, no court in the country or in the world that will issue a restraining order. That the one that makes me crazy, I'm stuck with. This journey that we're sharing is a journey of consciousness. And for any of us that wonder, is this some kind of intellectual or conceptual or abstract? It is not. Whenever the infinite and the finite intersect, it is transformative. It is transformative either in its absolute explosiveness, or it is transformative in its absolute tranquility, or both. But it is transformative. Some of us here knew Judy Brown, and Judy was one of the early participants in this program in an earlier manifestation of its evolution. And on Saturday night, Judy was sitting in the back of her friend's car in a Cracker Barrel parking lot in Kalamazoo, and suddenly became one of 6 shooting victims, deaths, of what apparently was a random act of violence. So today we are dedicating this gathering to Judy, her life, her journey, and her death. And now her new presence in each of our lives as a messenger of the deep. This journey that we're on is such that at a certain point, if we begin to notice this strange otherness, this infinite other, this constant companion, at a certain point we cross a line beyond which there's no way back. There's no reverse gear. There's no return. Now, don't get me wrong. Alcohol and drugs and other ways to numb or obliterate our consciousness are always an option. But on the journey of awakenment, there is no reverse gear. On the journey of awakenment, we cannot unknow that which we know. So be forewarned. Now, human beings have always, as they do today, have a love-hate relationship with the absolute. Because when you or I choose to acknowledge the absolute, simultaneously, at that moment, we also have to entertain the consciousness that, whoa, I'm not that. And our ego minds don't like that. Our personalities don't like that. And yet there's this haunting attraction that never quite goes, that we want to just crawl out over the ledge of our finite consciousness and just peer to see if maybe we can get a glimpse of the absolute. And when we do that, it is transformative. At the same time, it's scary. In fact, it's absolutely fearful and absolutely fascinating. And those of us last week who encountered the big squeeze, it's the up arrows and the down arrows. And that's where we live. Let's just rehearse this journey that we're on. And there are 3 stages. The first step is I begin to acknowledge this constant companion that for most of my life I have tried not to acknowledge or avoided. I begin to notice, begin to acknowledge. That's step 1. Step 2, I choose the relational practice of befriending that ultimate other. And 3, and this is the radical step, I choose to love that ultimate other more than I love anything, anybody, more than I love myself. I choose to love that reality. Now that's a journey.